What's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today on our weekly market update video, we're gonna once again answer the question, where is crypto heading? And with the moves in the last few weeks, most people are probably answering the question, or asking the question rather, is the bear market over? Right, so we've been in this bear market for a while now, and yeah, people are starting to see it go up in this past few weeks, and most people are wondering, yeah, is the bear market over? Is the low in? Should we go all in? And these are questions we're going to answer in today's video. So let's just jump right onto it. So this is the charts that we have right now. Yeah, so this is the price of Bitcoin. You can see we've been in a bear market for a while now. If we just draw how long this downtrend has been since the top, we are now at 40 bars. Drawing the lines from before, we are at 52 bars or 53 bars from top to bottom. So for example, past cycle, it took approximately 53 bars from this top to this bottom. And the cycle before that, lo and behold, 42 bars from top to bottom. And the cycle before that, it was actually longer. It was around 62 bars from top to the bottom. But its last two cycles, 52 bars on the weekly. The one cycle was a 62 bars, so I guess that gives you like kind of a range. We are currently at 40 bars in, so time-wise, it doesn't look like we're there yet, as we've said in our previous video. But also, this is something we drew on our previous video. So we started drawing this line, this channel, and this is what we're tracking. So from this peak top, going through these middle Bollinger and simple moving averages, just trying to extend that as a normal line, and then trying to see where it goes when it's leveled to the current price. So if we do that, I mean, it's kind of a range, right? So it's like August or September, or like, August or September. And if we do this kind of gives us just an idea of when this trend line will maybe break. So usually what happens is, for example, in this uptrend, it's going to go through this uptrend, touch the trend line, break up or break down, right? But then these trend lines usually act as like kind of like a guideline or support to see when the next moves are going to happen. So for example, if I had drawn it here, you can see it touched this trend line, then it broke up. Here it touched the trend line again, it broke down. So these gives us kind of like timings on when the markets will move. Right now in this middle trend line, if we just extend it a little bit, we can see at September 14, something is probably going to happen, because if we just stay stagnant from our current price all the way to this middle trend line, that's when it kind of intersects. So it's going to make a decision whether or not to break down or break up around this September thing. And that's why we're kind of saying that like October will be like the bottom. So when you look at October 5th, that kind of lines up also with this trend line, like a little bit after the trend line, and it aligns to the 52 weeks. Of course, the other weeks says around 62, so it could be after October, but looking at this, everything's kind of playing out the way that we were talking about. So next thing is, a lot of way to navigate this market is actually getting pulse in your like emotions, right? Bitcoin last week was at $58,000 and now it's at $61, right? A lot of times people are very quick to forget these moves, and they're super forgiving in terms of like what is happening in the short term. So for example, this move, we're only up like this much. This is kind of just like a blip, right? But if we look at the fear and greed index and just like look at the past year, let me just reset that too. Yeah, so if we just look at the past year, we can see that Bitcoin bottomed around, the Bitcoin price fell last week at like, the end of June 30. It was at 58K, up here at 58K. And then we're now at 61K. And you can see that just this small recovery relief made the fear and greed index go from like, it went from like 10 to 15, right? So if you're just looking at this past move, right, last week at June 30 at 58K, we were at 15 fear. And after that, even 11 fear. But now this small move up is making this fear and greed index climb, right? People play around with their emotions too much, right? And I definitely feel this as well. Like last week when everything was falling, I did feel like, oh no, everything's falling. And I was also starting to get greedy. Like maybe I should all in and maybe I should buy. And this week, when it's at 62, even though this is just a small blip, I'm starting to feel, some thoughts in my head that, oh, maybe we've missed the boat. All right. But this move is nothing. Like, look at all of the moves that it's been making in the past years. Like, it's barely even a move, really. And in fact, if we take this further, if we're looking at this trend line, right, this price can go all the way up to $65,000 per Bitcoin, and we would still be following this macro downtrend, right? So even if Bitcoin goes all the way to 65K, we're still following the weekly downtrend. So that's just one thing that I want to keep you on your guys' radar. Never really feel the market too much. It's better to zoom out, look at the data, and see what we're headed. So as of now, I still think that the bottom will happen somewhere between October and November. The next major move might happen in September. If we just don't do anything right, we're eventually gonna catch up to this moving averages, and it's gonna have to decide whether or not this is gonna break down. And that's probably gonna happen in September, and then October maybe our low. And lows take a while to happen, right? It's not like it's gonna happen in one day and then you're gonna miss the boat in a couple of seconds, right? Maybe the macro low, yeah, sure, maybe there was a tail or a wick all the way down and then you missed it. But if we just look at all data, for example, in the fear and greed index, like this low, for example, in 2014, like if we just zoom in here, yeah, this low happened at around 3K Bitcoin, but that low was like revisited multiple times, and that was actually on the span of December all the way till March. So there was like a 3-month move here wherein it was pretty low, right? So even if Bitcoin does fall in September and it does hit these lows, it's gonna take like a month for it to stay there. So there is time for people to take in that move. Now, of course, like the wick or the super sharp drawdowns, yeah, you might miss it. But then the actual like daily price, it stays there for quite a while. Even the COVID drop, which was pretty sharp, still had a few days in it. Like if I just zoom into this, right? So it fell to like 4,000, and there was another kind of retest a month later, right? So these percentages do stay at lower levels for quite some time. So just be confident that even if it does go down, you're not gonna miss it in a day. Like there is time to scale in, but it's not like you have like 5-10 months. You just have like a month or two to recognize that is the bottom. So we do have time to wait and see if that is the bottom. So right now it's going into September, and I just want to show a few more charts. Actually, these are all in confluence with each other, and I just found it quite interesting. So I have this Bitcoin price model that shows where the lowest price of Bitcoin might be. So I mean, just a recap of how this works is it fits like these logarithmic regression curves, and then it just makes like these bounding boxes on where bounding lines on where Bitcoin can go. The price risk just normalizes that from a slope going up to just like a horizontal line, so it's easier to see as an indicator. And you can see like the lowest risk this is saying is around 40K, right? Which is pretty cool because other indicators are actually kind of converging around the 40K level. So another thing that I wanted to show was the drawdowns and gains. So this is like the rolling 1-year drawdown of Bitcoin in terms of its price. So this is how it is, like rolling 1-year window. So if we look at this graph, you can see that at the bottom was 81% in the terms of drawdowns. So if we're just looking at the drawdowns from top to bottom in yearly time frame, the bottom 2 cycles ago was 83%, and then the cycle after that was around 75%. So that's like an 8% difference. So an 8% difference will put us at 67%. And since the top was at around 125K times 0.33, because that's 67%, will give us 100%. So that'll actually put us also around 40K, right? So that gives us this also gives us 40K. The price model gives us 40K as well, and there's actually a bunch of other charts like on-chain metrics. They're actually also pointing to 40K. So for example, if we just look at the realized price, this is something that I added recently. So so here the realized price is also right now at 42K. Historically, you can see that it has reached the realized price. So in previous cycle, it's reached the realized price, and the cycle before that it reached the realized price, and even the cycle below that it went below the realized price. There might be a trend here where it's getting less and less touching the realized price, because this like kind of just barely touched it. Like if we zoom in here, so this went below it but just barely, and then the one before that also went below it but slightly a little bit more. So yeah, slightly a little bit more. So it might not go all the way to the realized price, but at least it's gonna go to, it might not go all the way to the delta price, but it will go all the way to the realized price at least. And the realized price right now is at 53K and the delta price is 43K. So it's kind of interesting because the delta price right now is at 43K, which also aligns with this drawdown model and the other model. Yeah, so a lot of these indicators are kind of showing that the bottom might be at 40K. If you were to ask me, that seems like a reasonable bet. But I mean, if it reaches 50K, I'm probably just gonna keep buying it already. I've already bought a little bit because, you know, if it all goes to 50K and it just drops like 10K more, it's not really gonna matter over 4 years if it reaches like 200K. You know, you just want the time to be able to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. So that's the market update right now. TLDR, yeah, we did go up like 4K from last week, but you know, this is just a small blip. And even though the fear and greed index is reflecting what people are feeling, you know, I feel a little bit greedier that, oh, maybe I missed it. It's highly unlikely that we've already missed it. It's possible, but I mean, going through the past few cycles, all the time-based indicators are saying that it's gonna still happen in like October. This, you know, just this trend line, it hasn't even broken yet, and probably break around September. So, you know, with all these things, I don't think the bottom's happening yet. Yeah, I've bought a little bit. I think a good entry would be sometime in September. The bottom looks like it's gonna be at around 40K. 50K would probably be a reasonable bet to buy though. And the reason why I'm saying that that's the case, because I mean, if you look at the EV dice rolls, it's like another model that we built just to quantify how much return you're getting. You can see like we're pretty high. I mean, on average, you will make 105% at this risk level, right? Most of the time at this risk, you're just gonna make a lot of money. So like, it's okay to invest now. If it drops all the way to 40K, just know that that's a possibility. But even if it drops to 40K, that's not much in the grand scheme of things if Bitcoin hits $200,000, $300,000. I think it's like still pretty early on. And yeah, with that, I think that's basically all the updates that I have. In terms of altcoins, a good way that I actually look at altcoins is through this versus comparison. It's kind of hard to tell for all alts, but I use ETH kind of as an index for altcoins. So if you go at ETH and you just compare it to Bitcoin, you want to actually invest in alts when this thing has bottomed. So if you look at the normalized value of this, and then we just go to ETH versus Bitcoin, you can see we're up here. So I think this is still gonna go kind of down to like this negative 0.7. So in that case, I think when Bitcoin has a major crash coming into September, ETH and all the other coins will fall as well, and that's probably going to be the best time to as well scale into alts. So yeah, that's where my head is at. If you're looking to buy alts, yeah, hold on for a little bit more. Just wait until Bitcoin bottoms. Maybe you can buy a little bit more altcoins then. Yeah, so that's all for the crypto market update videos. If you guys like this video, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.